Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for Liquidware's What's New in Essentials webinar. If at any point today you have any questions or comments, please place them in the chat or Q&A feature. This webinar is being recorded. You'll receive a link to the recording within a few business days that you can review or share with a colleague. Presenting today will be Jason E. Smith, VP Alliances and Product Marketing with Liquidware, and Chris Walker, Senior Solutions Architect and Stratusphere Subject Matter Expert with Liquidware. Jason, you want to get us started?
Yes, thanks, Kristen. So what's new with Liquidware? We really have done these without fail for several years. I said this last month. It's funny, we did them in December, we did them in June, and I was proudly telling someone we've done these without fail every 6 months since about 2017, I think. And when's the next one? We'd forgotten to schedule it. So we're just 1 month late. Expect the next one again in December. And so without fail, we've done them 2 times a year, I can still say. Happy to do this with Chris too. It complements what we do. You know, if you know anything about Jason E. Smith, you know that I've never spent time in the field. I've never put in a deployment of a desktop. The only thing I was ever certified on technically was Windows NT. And so I know the depth and the breadth of the features that we offer here at Liquidware. I know the competitive way that we do it. I understand it inside and out. I've run us in a lab, but we complement all that with Chris Walker, who knows so much about Stratusphere as well. I came into Liquidware with ProfileUnity, so I know all about that from the ground up. I know all about FlexApp from the ground up. But with our digital experience management solution, Chris Walker knows so much about Stratusphere UX, literally user experience, and he's got the field expertise on all of our solutions to back this up. So it's a 1-2 punch here, and I'm happy to be doing this again with Chris Walker. Let me just verify that everybody sees my screen with no pop-ups on it.
Yep.
All right, great. So what's new in Essentials? Our Essentials suite and it consists of our 4 solutions, which we'll get to in a moment. It reminded me that we have this poll question coming up when I came to this slide. Kristen, let's put the first poll question up here. We've had a phenomenal response to this webinar today. We have a lot of people scheduled, current customers and prospects. Kristen, you want to tell them what this poll question's about?
Sure. What industry are you from? We've got healthcare, legal, financial, federal, and other.
So the quicker you answer this question, the quicker we'll go on to the next slide because it takes up the screen until we do so. And in my viewing mode, I don't see the pop-up, but I'm assuming Chris Walker, you see it?
Yep, I see it. Yep.
Okay. Kristen,
yep, we've got 72% in currently. Just a few more votes.
75.
We typically run the gamut on the types of industries we support, but naturally there's a few that adopt end-user computing solutions like Citrix and VMware, which tend to be platform solutions that our solutions are used in. Now, everything we have runs across physical desktops as well that you may know, but we're a 1-to-1 ratio a lot of times on where Citrix and VMware and AVD and solutions like that run in the industry. So this will be interesting to see.
Okay.
Other, 55% other.
55% other, 11% healthcare, 3% legal, 11% financial, 21% Fed, and 55 other.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That is bigger other than I would have expected. If you responded to other, feel free to put in the chat window what you meant by that, and we'll look at those as we come into that. But there's a lot of different industries that exist out there, and we thank you for that. So Liquidware Essentials, and we recap every time. And well, this is a net new slide. If you've seen this before, you see a 4th solution on here, and we'll touch on that one today because we're about to make generally available CommandCTRL, our digital experience monitoring diagnostics. That's real-time remediation. You've known us in the industry for in a similar area there for Stratusphere, the digital experience monitoring and diagnostics, the deep history of what we do there with Stratusphere UX, and those 2 products are going to complement each other in a lot of ways. Stratusphere UX will still do the deep, very cost-effective way of warehousing your user experience over a period of time, whether it's hours or days or months, and being able to see things at a very granular view, not just the bird's eye view, but all the way down into the weeds to the street level view, and giving you more dashboard, more left to right visibility, more up and down visibility than any other solution out there in the market. So Stratusphere will continue to do that, but with command control coming soon, it's real-time remediation. Our CTO likes to say, reach out and touch someone. And you're able to look at that desktop no matter where they are in the world, and you're able to see the metrics on it, the user experience, the digital experience metrics on it. You're also able to interact with that just like you're sitting there in several ways. You can look at a task manager view without taking over that machine. You can cancel processes or stop processes, start processes. You can run a script on that machine, do a lot of things without ever taking it over. But if you do need to take it over, we've got more than one way to take it over remotely and to help troubleshoot that. So it can be used as help desk operations, and it's a very powerful thing. You'll see the innovations that we have in that over and above competitors that are out there in that industry. So that's command control coming soon. And you know us for user environment management, ProfileUnity's delivered that and is the leader in the industry. So if you've got maybe access to a tool set included by Citrix or VMware, but maybe you're running another solution like AVD or others, and we go far beyond those free tool sets that are included in those other two stacks I mentioned earlier to give you full user environment management across any Windows deployment, including physical, to give you that robust, not only profile that will play back, but also all the way down to the user preferences and across user rights management and application restrictions. It is chock full of things to do on a trigger basis, and it allows you to easily offload users from one platform onto the other, so you're not tied to that free tool that may be limited in a lot of cases anyway. So we go above and beyond, and most of our customers do run those Citrix and VMware environments, and they've decided that ProfileUnity is for them. It is the enterprise solution that can cut across all their Windows desktops. And we've led in application portability for many years now with FlexApp, giving you that attached application delivery, some call it layering, into the environment to where you don't have to put applications in the base image. So your Windows OSs stay pristine and clean, and they run as if the day that they were first installed. So no Windows rot, easy to update applications, easy to take them out, and it's easy to get an application out into the field with our new FlexApp 1 by any means necessary, and we'll recap that in a moment. But as I said, you may know us for the virtual market, but we run across virtual, cloud, and physical devices. I'm going to jump right into the ProfileUnity and then the FlexApp update, and then I want to hand it over to Chris to talk about the Stratusphere update, and then we'll touch on that new solution coming next month, command control. ProfileUnity, this is what the current console looks like. If your console doesn't look like this, it's time to upgrade. If you're missing some icons on here, it's time to upgrade. We want you on the latest version, so you're taking advantage of the latest features. You'll see maybe 3, 4, 5 icons in here that are brand new compared to previous versions. So a lot of these things have to do with application deployment and application management, that we've expanded our feature set here lately above and beyond typical UEM, but we've circled some of the most popular features in here. You know, profile portability dead center in the middle of the screen is one of the most popular features there. It goes above and beyond FS Logic's profiles. It goes above and beyond our own profile disk profile solution that is profile on disk, and gives you a granular profile that is backed up and restored. So if your FS Logic's profile becomes corrupt, I should say when it becomes corrupt, you're able to reset it with our portability settings automatically. It repopulates that based on the profile hive. Now, if your profile disk or FS Logic's is running every day without fail, it runs. But when it fails, we'll back it up. That way we don't impact log on, because we're just writing our portability settings in the delta differential at log off. Privilege elevation and application restrictions are something you wouldn't expect in a UEM solution, but they've been built in now for years with ProfileUnity. The ability to register, to get into the registry and go all the way into the machine level registry settings, so you can effectively lock down the machine and do things just as powerful as if you're an admin sitting at that machine through tweaking the registry add, remove, or replace a registry key. That's in there, and you can do it on a very granular basis, all the way down to per user, by department, enterprise-wide, and things like that. Printer management has long been a popular thing. Now, we manage printers and attach them contextually. We do this for a lot of hospitals or education where you have tons of printers. We had one client that had more printers than they had users, if you can believe that, in the hospital. So we assign them granularly on a trigger basis, no matter where they were in the hospital. The printers close to them, wherever they logged on, since it's a mobile environment, would map to that specific machine and that experience when they logged on. Folder redirection goes beyond just folder redirection. We can actually harvest and migrate out user authored data, and we were the first in the industry ever to do this. So it offloads it and gets it in best practices. So it's not saved in my documents on a local machine anywhere at any time. It is on a disaster recovery protected file share in the data center or in the cloud, where that user authored data, the most important thing about a physical machine or a virtual machine, user authored data is always protected. Trigger points, so not only at log on, log off, but you can do things during a trigger, during a session. Those are called trigger points. So if something's changed, a Wi-Fi access point has changed, or you've opened an application, you can make behaviors happen. You can mount applications this way. You can bring applications in with FlexApp this way. You can mount printers or attach printers this way. So if the doctor's changed to another location in the building, you can do that dynamically without the reboots. And then filter management over on the left is how all these things get granularly applied. You can apply things by user, by group, but I can guarantee if you can think of a way that you can ask us and quiz us on how this could be done. Hey, what if the MAC address ends in these digits or starts with this? Yeah, you can do it. You can granularly apply any type of attribute in here, the way the profile is managed, or the way registry keys ring true, or if an application is on that endpoint, then do this. You can do it with our filter management. They're built on dozens of different ways, and when you cross-match those, there are hundreds of different ways that you can apply any of these. And we go above and beyond anybody in this industry there, because we built these since even before Liquidware in 2005, when the solution had this in it. They're built on years and years of customers saying, can you do this? Yes, can you do that? And it's been added to the filter management over time.
Jason, just a quick point on that too. Make sure that everybody keeps updated with the latest versions, as well as hot fixes. So we're getting ready to release 6.86 later this year. But there's features in there that customers actually wanted in 6.85. So this year, not only ProfileUnity, but also Stratusphere, we're not making people wait for some of the new features. We actually backported one of the things called parallel portability processing, which can dramatically reduce your login times. Prior versions, even 6.85, the portability would run one at a time. Now with 6.85 and a hotfix, which is on our website, it actually runs in parallel mode, thereby reducing your login process even better. Yep. So please make sure you keep up with not only the major releases in ProfileUnity for any vulnerabilities or things like that may come up, but also hot fixes as well inside the system, because we are actually rolling out new features sometimes in the hot fixes.
And in ProfileUnity, it's easy to see if you've got an update pending. You go up here where it says Administrator in this screenshot. You click on that area, the admin section, and there's an area that'll let you know if an update is pending, that you can update the console and subsequently update the agents out on the endpoint. So it's very easy to upgrade to the latest version. There's several icons in here I'm not going to touch on completely right now, because I'm going to touch on them in an upcoming slide, but you'll see some new icons for MSIX apps, AppV apps. What's all that about? AppStream apps. So if you don't have those icons in there, you're not on the latest version. And there's things that you can't do with your ProfileUnity that you could otherwise do, and we'll talk about those here shortly. We continue to lead in the market. I have a similar story I like to tell about industry first, and I've left some of those in here as the final bullet. But we excel in every area of being fully compatible with FSLogix profiles. A lot of people come to us and say, you know what, can you do anything about my FSLogix profiles? I'm ending up with one profile per machine that user logs on. It's causing me to store a lot of data. I'm ending up with maybe profile corruption. It's a great solution to log on and off fast, but I'm finding that the dependability for enterprise-wide scalability is really not where I want it to be. we're fully compatible with it. You can run your FSLogix profile, and profile portability can pick up on top of that. And we talk about that in everywhere that we hear that FSLogix is running, because you can run it with it. You can also supersede FSLogix profiles, and you can run our profile disk, which has its benefits. And then you can run that with our portability as well. So fully compatible with it. Yeah, it competes with a little bit of a use case to make a profile stick. ProfileUnity is much more than that, though, as you saw on that previous slide. We do tons more than just the profile. So ProfileUnity is the choice for a lot of leading platforms out there. Frame has chosen it. It's the OEM profile disk that you end up using if you use Frame. And solutions like HP Anywhere and others have recently certified it, and they're building it into most deployments that they do. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a side note on the profile disk and FSLogix. If you're a ProfileUnity customer, don't forget we have a profile disk optimization technology that's on our support site. It's an executable which basically downloads the FSLogix or our profile disk, optimizes it, defragments it, removes all the white space, and then puts it back up there. I run into a lot of customers that are not aware of that tool that we wrote a couple of years ago, and we maintain it, but it does work for our profile disk as well as FSLogix. Now, legally, you can only use it if you're a ProfileUnity customer, but it will work for FSLogix as well. Just a side note on that.
You know, as another note beyond what FSLogix can do, we make one profile stick across multiple OS environments. So you end up with one copy of a profile, and then we remediate that with our portability. So the user always has their profile settings in sync. They're not hived per OS. People think about us running in EUC thin solutions like Citrix and VMware, but we support anything physical, virtual, and cloud. We now support Azure Active Directory completely as of one release ago. So even in your machines that you have out in the field, as this world's shifted rapidly to work from home in the last 3 years, we support all those as well. So you can deploy ProfileUnity to help manage those machines and the rights on them as well.
Yeah, what I like to tell customers is I think we're probably the only solution on the market right now that can do active data centers. So today I could be on-prem in a Citrix environment, tomorrow in Horizon, the next day in Azure, AWS, and back to Citrix. Based on my routing and what type of device I happen to be carrying that day, it doesn't matter. The way our technology works, literally, the machine is a subset. When I log in, I get the pictures of my kids. All my favorites are there. Everything's there, and it's active data centers.
Great point. You may know us for our innovation over the years, but I wanted to recap some of that. I think there's some complaint about free tools out in the industry that make profile stick, that they're not being actively developed. There's no new features. They're not up to the challenge of work from home and things like that. It's not the case with us. We actively develop ProfileUnity. It is a mature solution, but look at the long list of first in here, and this is just off the top of my head as I added this bullet in even this morning in the slide deck. You know, we were first to the market with profile disk. We were the first to put a profile on disk. We were first with user-authored data migration to best practice areas and a harvest of it and a checkbox that's been done, so you're ready to move users over. We were the first to cross OS support one profile per person, not per machine. Integrated application rights management. Other vendors had charged separately for that for years. We were the first to do that. A turnkey setup where we have guided configuration templates out of the box to set you up from day one with a robust profile and best practices. We were the first to do that. There was a lot of setup involved in competing solutions. We now have one a configuration specifically if you're running FSLogix today. You choose that, and we'll set you up accordingly to take advantage of that and to move you forward to augment FSLogix and move forward. We were the first to offer a clean profile in our portability. We don't take the entire profile. We remove cached areas. We trim it back. It's a smart profile the way that we do it. And we're still leading that area. So don't think you're bringing over a bunch of cruft. We trim it back, and it becomes a very efficient profile that'll work across multiple OS versions. We were the first to proclaim we're compatible with FSLogix. You don't need to abandon it if you don't want to. We can augment it and move forward and give you that disaster recovery data availability, high availability for those profiles, and to give you that path to seamlessly upgrade to all the features in ProfileUnity for full user environment management. If we shift the conversation a little bit to FlexApp and how we've led in that area, the innovation in FlexApp 1 lately has just far surpassed any competitor in this space. That is a self-contained application format, and I can give it to you by any means necessary and deploy it. So that gives us the ability to deploy applications via Intune, through Workspace 1 with VMware, so you don't even have to have the full ProfileUnity client on the endpoint to get that out. You can deploy those applications out to physical desktops. So if somebody has to go work from home right away, they need XYZ app, you can have it to them in a matter of seconds. You point it to a hosted place in the file share, they pull it down, they double click on it, and it runs as if it's installed. So our high compatibility with FlexApp continues to lead over any other competitor out there. You know, you've got MSIX out there for Microsoft, MSIX app attach. The fact that it's based on MSIX gives it a low compatibility rating out of the box for your total applications, right? Not every application is compatible with the MSIX format, but we're able to do that and give you that compatibility that's up in the 90+% range. Excuse me, with ProfileUnity. FlexApp was the first innovator with applications on demand. There's been some people out there claiming that, but we've had that with Click to Layer since 2017. Our applications on demand was imitated in the market, and it continues to innovate instead of imitate. FlexApp's the original applications anywhere solution. You'll see this on a screen where you can run it on any Windows app platform. I'll revisit this on an upcoming slide in a moment. Our automated packaging is fully automated packaging. It's unattended. No one else in the industry has that. The closest competitor has something you have to do a process, look at it, go to do another process, do another process. No, this is a set it, forget it, come back on Monday morning, and you have hundreds of applications that can be packaged. No one else has that. Several of our largest deals have been based on FlexApp and is leading with even our own feature sets in the last couple of years. So we've got collaboration out there with very many vendors. I'll also talk about that in a moment. But then you've got more ways to layer applications with FlexApp than any other vendor out there. You can do it at boot time, login time, post login time, trigger point, on demand, and with FlexApp 1. So FlexApp's also been full of that innovation. In the latest version that we've consolidated across many formats, we've got that new MSIX module in ProfileUnity. I'm sorry, ProfileUnity led with the innovation in this area. We've added a lot of application deployment in ProfileUnity above and beyond even our own FlexApp. So if you want to deploy straight up MSIX apps, there's that new module in there. You can do that on a context-aware basis. You can do the same thing with AppV. You've been able to do this with AppV before if you scripted some things out, but it's a built-out and robust feature set now. You can cloak any application that's in the base image. This is very helpful in server-based computing like RDS or Citrix, where you want to put something in the server and then cloak it away. You can universally redirect now any folder and any registry key. They can be redirected universally. So you're not only limited to the ones in the user space, but in the machine space too. Azure Active.
A lot of people don't know what that is. So when we talk about universal folder or registry redirection, imagine you have an application that drops data into program files, and you want to be able to pick that up as part of the user persona, or a registry setting that's HKey local machine, and it really needs to be HKey current user. So there are bad apps out there that don't follow Microsoft best practices. With this technology, literally you can pick up a folder or a registry hive or key that you want to move it into the user space, where you then can use our portability to move it around and follow that user and put it back into the right place. It's a very powerful understanding what that universal folder and registry redirection does. It's very powerful.
Thanks for that. Another good reason we've got you on here to talk about the real world use cases beyond my scope. The Azure Active Directory support, this was apparent to us out of the COVID lockdowns that this had to be in the product so we could support any machine anywhere, any laptop anywhere, not only in ProfileUnity but FlexApp too. And we always have quality bug fix updates that we push out. All that's in 6.8.5 since February. Our next version 6.8.6 is now tentatively planned for later this year, and I'm not going to go into those feature sets right now because 6.8.5 is so chock full.
Yeah, Jason, we got a question in the chat. Somebody was asking, how often do we do major updates of our technology? So on the Stratusphere side, I know it's about twice a year. There are hot fixes in between, or if any security updates come out, those are immediately patched. ProfileUnity follow the same 2 major releases a year?
It's about every 8 months. So if you're putting it on a year, it'd be 1.5. Is about what our track record has been in that area. Yep.
Okay. All right.
So about every 8 months or so. About every 3 quarters.
Okay.
The updates of I went back to that slide. The updates of FlexApp also were chock full in here, 6.8.5. So ProfileUnity really gives us a lot of new application management, just in addition to FlexApp there. That's the theme of that. FlexApp 6.8.5 also was very full of updates. Now you can containerize virtually any app. So if you want to centralize the way you're doing things, you can do it with FlexApp. So MSIX apps, now you can do that with the Microsoft technology app attached. It's plenty fun to do that. But if you want to centralize it where FlexApp is the one that containerizes MSIX, you can do that now with FlexApp too. App VApps the same way. You can containerize them, so all of your applications run as containers, and they have 0 footprint. And when you're running the full version of FlexApp, they can have 0 footprint on the endpoint. Other than the cached files that'll come down to have it run, it'll have 0 footprint. It won't taint the base image at all. You won't have a directory structure that's left behind, so it runs a little bit cleaner than some of those other methods. FlexApp 1, the management of that is now also folded into the Liquidware console. So FlexApp 1, those self-contained application formats that I mentioned earlier, it's an alternative format. We'll revisit when to use each one here in a moment on a new slide. You can manage it by any means necessary, I mentioned that, but you can also manage it with the Liquidware ProfileUnity console. There's a new feature set in there you may have noticed on that screenshot earlier.
I think Christian has a question.
Jason, we have a question here in the chat. Can you run ProfileUnity as an MSP?
Yes, works very well. Works very well, even with one console. So when you're doing an MSP, the customer is isolated. They have their own pod or their own shared RDSH machines. Depending on how you run your MSP, you can still manage it from a single console. So I log in. I'm in AD group company name number 1. Therefore, I get these rules. I get these applications. Another guy logs in, maybe on the same machine. FlexApp can cloak those applications from that user. So even RDSH environments that are shared amongst customers, it's very powerful. ProfileUnity is managing the persona. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, you're right. It's perfectly compatible with like even multi-tenant environments in that way. And with the role-based access, what if you're an MSP and you've got multiple admins in there? You know, this admin's responsible for customer A and another one's for customer B. They can both have separate logins, and they'll never see what the other admin's doing with your MSP that's doing 2 separate customers. But you can also have one admin in there with multiple configurations, and those configurations are based on each individual customer. So it's
audited.
Yep.
Everything's audited. So if one of your engineers happens to mess up something, you know exactly who did it. So yeah, there's tracking of everything in ProfileUnity for the enterprise customers as well.
Yep, I'd like to hear from the MSP even afterwards. If you'll email me, I'd like to hear about your use case even a little more, as we are learning a lot of things from MSPs, and FlexApp's a great solution for MSPs and great solution for MSPs that are running, regardless if you're running Citrix or VMware or Nerdio or something else. I'd like to learn more about your use case. My email is jason.smith@liquidware.com. So if I haven't already met you, I'd love to talk to you. The other updates of FlexApp, the packaging console, you can roll it back based on OS technology that's in Microsoft, but based on Microsoft Restore, it's just a single click and rolls back that and keeps the packaging machines clean in between packaging. OS optimization is now built in. We don't rely on a third-party tool anymore to do this. We have our own OS optimization to have that machine packaging applications as silently as possible, with no noise in the background from things that can be shut off. So it gives you a higher compatibility rating slightly with that, even in addition to the high compatibility rating we already have. already mentioned additional ways to layer are the most. Trigger and post login are two new ways to layer in and attach FlexApps, and I already mentioned all the ways earlier, but those two are new in this release. Predictive block caching, it was based on parts of the application that were in use before. Now it's based on the application, so it gives you better stability on networks where you have VDI running as well as machines that are talking to servers in the background. So you get more of those blocks of that application down to the endpoint. So if you did have a network glitch or something like that, the application is rock solid and not affected. The ability to merge layers, so you can package up an application in a VHDX container, for example, or VMDK, but the default's VHDX. You can package up another application in another one, and maybe that's the way you wanted to run them and keep them separate. But if there's ever the inkling or anything you wanted to, put those on one VHDX, you can merge layers now. So this is built into this latest release of 6.8.5. So for a department, for example, you wanted to have all of them on one VHDX, you could do that. You can merge them after the fact. You don't have to repackage. You can just merge the layers. Version control, there's a new field in there where you no longer have to name the application, Photoshop August 22. You can now put a version number in there so you can keep that in the database separate from the application name. And it helps you with updates and subsequent updates. And the API, FlexApp Packager and API, and we've already got companies taking advantage of that, third-party companies like Application Readiness taking advantage of that so they can kick off our packaging process. That's new. And bug fixes, as always, we keep the quality of our software.
There's one that you're missing here, one big one that you're missing here. In all previous technologies, our packaging technology would do a watch what the installers were doing. So they'd watch the registry key, they'd watch the file system, then we would compile that list in memory. With 6.8.5, there's a new differential. So basically we take a snapshot of the machine, the registry, file system, and all that. You do your installs, you make your modifications, and then we compare the two. It actually gets higher quality resolution and brings us up into the 98, 99%, whereas the filter drivers, so the next version, 6.8.6, the default is going to be that differential technology. It does actually take a little bit longer, but we found that it actually improves our application readiness even higher with that technology. But you will have both options available. The current version, which is the filter driver watching the file system and the registry, and the differential is available in 6.8.5, 6.8.6. The differential will actually be the default mechanism.
Okay, great. That's a great one. So many updates, I didn't even have them in the marketing deck.
Yeah, yep.
This is a screenshot of where we can bring in the app Vs and the MSIX is now in here. It pops up under the create area. Here's what I was talking about, industry-wide adoption. And you'll see more about this as the year goes on, because also being over alliances at Liquidware, we have more and more third-party vendors asking, can they integrate with us out there? There's not a lot the platforms had to do. This first category on the left just shows our compatibility. There's some things that had to be done out there on our end. In the case of Frame, we worked with them closely for the OEM of our profile disk, but with the others, we support any way that Windows is delivered. And that is just, we invented apps anywhere is what I'm getting to, apps everywhere. The ability to run, and we've always been this way. So we run across any Windows deployment. All those are listed there on the left and more down there at the end, any Windows platform. The way to deploy FlexApp is now with FlexApp 1 greatly enhanced. So not only with ProfileUnity, the way traditional FlexApp has been and the use cases there for that, but now with FlexApp 1, you can deploy it by any means necessary. A file share, also, you can get those out there. But Microsoft Intune, you simply fill out the assignment that you want our executable to go to, and it'll push those down to the endpoint, and they are registered within that machine, and they run as any other app. So that's without the Liquidware ProfileUnity console being in the mix. And so it can work with Avanti DSM, and it's tested to do so. It works with Nerdio Manager. Founder of Nerdio worked with us and tested it fully. Vadim did, and it works very well in Nerdio Manager to deploy FlexApp 1s that way without any additional infrastructure out there other than a little bit of storage on where you host the apps to get those down to the endpoint machines where they ultimately are, where those cloud machines are hosted. And then any other way of deploying software is supported with FlexApp 1. So, and then application testing and deployment. We've had several of companies in this space, about 4 different ones, very interested in reaching out to us. The one that's led this industry with us, that's led in this integration with us, is a company called Application Readiness. You may know them as Readiness. The founders there came out of Changebase from years ago. And so they're fully compatible with us, and they've also leveraged our API. So not only can they test for compatibility against us and app volumes and MSIX, and by the way, we look great in their independent testing because of our high compatibility rating, but they can kick off our application packaging processes too. That is fully available and out there today. There's a press release that went out on it last month. So if you want to learn more about that, look at that. And we're working closely with Remo3. We're partners with them, alliance partners with them for several areas, including being able to assess for your application strategy with Stratusphere on the front end. But we're working with Remo3 as well on a similar thing for application testing and possible packaging with Remo3. Looks like that we're primed for our next poll question. Now, this one.
We also have a question that came up too,
Okay.
that I want to address before we move to the poll question. If you merge layers, can you still update a single app at a time?
You would update the base layer first and then remerge it. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yep. You do lose some dynamic capability in there because you're basically possibly bringing that app offline, all the apps on that layer offline. When you do that, if you're not doing it off hours, for example, right? So we do recommend a 1-to-1 ratio, and this is different than at least one of our competitors. 1 app per 1 VHDX, and that gives you the most dynamic way of keeping your application updates done as possible. But when you're dealing with sometimes dozens of applications, and you want to speed up where we don't impact login time hardly at all, but when you're dealing with that many and that many having to register in the endpoint and things like that, it is sometimes more efficient to put more than 1 app on the VHDX. So if you're dealing with 20, 30, 40 applications, try to keep them 1-to-1 ratio, but start to think about putting them in 1 VHDX per group as a backup to help with performance.
Okay.
Poll question.
Do we want to move to the poll question?
Yep.
Okay. VMware, are you attending VMware Explore Las Vegas?
Yep. In about 25 days, we'll be there, and we would love to see you there. So we want to see who on this call, as a percentage basis, is planning on attending VMware Explore.
Or somebody from your company.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
You or someone from your organization.
And we have a limited number of seats for a VIP event that we're doing. Is the other reason why we want to know this information. So we may be reaching out to you if we haven't already taken up the seats. But if you're going, let us know here. And
Okay,
you can also let us know in the chat window with a message to us personally if you want to, and we'll know to reach out to you for possibly see if we have additional VIP seats available.
22% yes, 78% no.
Okay.
It's a good number in this day where it's a little harder to get travel approvals and things like that. So we look forward to seeing you. We'll have a 10 by 20 booth, one of the larger ones that we've done, and then that's the week that we will be having that big announcement with CommandCTRL. Thanks. So with all this talk about FlexApp 1 versus FlexApp, you may be wondering when to use each technology, because FlexApp 1 is not a separate product. It's a feature set, and it's a way of delivering FlexApp. There's an additional checkbox in our packaging console. You simply check it when you're packaging if you want that container to be self-sufficient and have basically the filter driver that'll make it work bundled in to a single executable. And the single executable will have the VHDX and everything in it, so when the user clicks it, when they get it, it just runs. So it gives you that dynamic offline capability, gives you that ability to use Intune, Nerdio Manager, anything like that to deploy applications. So when do you use each one? There's overlapping use cases, right, where you could use one or the other, and that's the first section here. If you want to keep base images clean, you want to not modify the base image, you want a fast way to package, you want a very high compatibility rating, you can use either one. But then we start to see the differences in here. Does the workspace stay online or connected? So if it's a laptop, that'd be the use case there for FlexApp 1. You want them to go offline, you want to be on the airplane and have access to those applications to run unconnected, that's definitely FlexApp 1. If you wanted to use your own deployment method, and we talked to some customers that have standardized on Intune, where it says Endpoint Manager here in SCCM, I should say Intune, then that's the case to use FlexApp 1. If you want extra features though, that's where you want to start thinking about using the FlexApp console, ProfileUnity FlexApp console to deploy the FlexApp ones. You want to keep an inventory of them. You want to be a little tighter. You want to lean that direction with FlexApp. So if it's an always-on situation where it's VDI only, for example, you want to use FlexApp to keep things streamlined there. If you want to also take advantage of other things with that our ProfileUnity agent can do with application privilege elevation, you want to fix up registry keys, things like that, you want to use full FlexApp in there. So you'll have a couple of check boxes over on the FlexApp 1 in favor of that, mostly to do with disconnected desktops and also deployment methods. But for the most part, a lot of enterprise customers will still lean a little bit towards FlexApp and then use FlexApp 1 for certain use cases. Hope that cleared it up. The recording of this will be available, and I can get you this sheet if you needed to see it after the fact. So at this point, we're going to switch over to Stratusphere UX, and Chris is going to give the updates of Stratusphere UX.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So yeah, so Stratusphere UX, our diagnostic platform. We've been working since the COVID eras. We had things like Wi-Fi statistics, CPU temperature, and we started calling those users the first mile at their house. So the first mile getting back to the data center. Stratusphere has been very key in helping a lot of customers get up and running. As you notice down at the bottom, some of the supported devices, not only just Windows devices or cloud, Citrix, Horizon, things like that. A lot of people buy Stratusphere for the VDI environment. So I need to get visibility into my virtual machines. Then they realize, oh, you're licensed by user. So Chris Walker at Liquidware on his laptop, Chris Walker at Liquidware in my Amazon, my Azure, my Citrix, my Horizon, that's all one user to us. So they deploy that agent everywhere to have really end-to-end visibility to the system. Not going to go through all of this. Notice one of the key things in here, the new UI plan for GA and Q4. ServiceNow integration, I just revved it for Utah support this morning. I pressed the button for Utah support with the ServiceNow integration. So Jason, next slide. We've only got about 15 minutes left, so we've got a lot to cover. So last year, 2020, 6.6.1 came out, a lot of security updates, threshold highlights. So we actually were highlighting which thresholds were good and bad based on our best practices. Mac agent updates, UI performance, big release in March of this year. The big one on here is we actually put a preview of the new user interface right inside the product. And like I was talking about earlier, hot fixes. In June, we came out with one of our healthcare customers need to be able to scan the devices and know what's plugged in, what badge scanners, what power mics were plugged in, because he'd lost his inventory for all those badge scanners, 20,000 machines sitting out there with badge scanners, and he didn't know which vendor ID, which product ID. So now a hotfix, new feature coming in June to allow that as well. Another one of our customers wanted some information added to login breakdown. He gave us the specific codes. This is very important. So he listened to our customers, updated the Stratusphere agent. Sure enough, there it is. Hotfix as well, mitigation of the Microsoft Defender. So Microsoft Defender was scanning our agent and saying that, hey, this could be a potential virus, and this was only in the military, I believe, because of certain settings that they had. So we've updated the agent to mitigate that particular problem. So this is a hotfix that you can apply to 6.6.2. Dell Y support was just announced by them after like 5 years being off the list, and a bunch of other people too. They came out with a new release that helped us get our agent back into their OS, and as well as a lot of other people. So now we can officially say we're back in support for Dell Wise with our latest Stratusphere agent. Next slide. All right, not going to cover all this. Most of you people have seen this, all the different metrics and things that we're adding. Like I talked about earlier in the USB port, what's plugged in the USB ports. New features have been added that for inventory management, sometimes break fix. My Imprivata is having a problem with this specific vendor and this particular product code, how many machines have that device plugged into them. So always adding new metrics into Stratusphere, bolstering our metrics and making sure that we've got more data for you as things break or we find new use cases. Next slide. All machines. Okay, now the new interface. So if you're in 6.6.2, if you've got the latest version 6.6.2 of Stratusphere installed in your system, you can go to the preview section and actually play with the new user interface. Notice the speed, how it reacts to your environment. You know, even in a large environment, 20,000 machines, this interface is very fast. Notice too here, there's no rows and datas and columns. I mean, this is graphical. So we're trying to retool our system. The old platform, the old system is going to stay around for quite a while, but this allows me now to graphically render, which most people are more graphic than they are tables and numbers. So navigate me to where I'm having a problem. Where's the most amount of red? Click on that and have it drill me down and show me, hey, people running 3 monitors with this particular processor type are having a fan speed issue and their CPU temperature is going into heat protection mode. That's about 20 clicks inside of the normal interface to go look at all that stuff. With this new interface, it's going to be graphical. Literally, you're clicking on red, 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 and then we have a recommendation section in there as well that says, hey, we see you're having this issue. Here's an article from VMware, from Citrix, from Amazon, from Azure, from us that may tell you how to resolve that particular issue. So very excited about this new interface, looking for it in Q4 of this year. Next slide. All right, our API builder. A lot of you have seen this. If you're not using this, we are doing a huge amount of integration with other platforms. We got one guy who does a lot of Power BI stuff. I've done integration with Tableau, with Splunk, Excel spreadsheets, PowerShell scripts to be able to get our data out and into other platforms. One customer used the API to pull out information on the firewall. Just want to know if the firewall is running because people tend to shut it down every once in a while. So he has a Splunk instance that pulls all the statuses of anybody not running the firewall, and then it pushes it into ServiceNow, opens a ticket, and you get a phone call. So a very simple test to help out the security team. You also get written up at HR too, by the way. So API Builder, I'd recommend you use it because it can be very powerful for helping automate those reports that are needed for the boss, for the security team, things like that. Next slide. There we go. Service talked about, I just updated this this morning to 1.6 to support Utah. So yes, this is the ServiceNow integration kit for Stratusphere. Utah's been out for a month. Not many people have moved to it. So I finally got my my integration pack updated to 1.6 actually just this morning. Next slide. Here we have a couple Power BI examples. I'm doing a lot of this, and our Power BI guy has a huge amount of templates that he's built. I'm doing some from Amazon with Azure, right sizing. Take the data that's in Stratusphere and determine how many machines are oversized. I can save money. How many machines are undersized? I need to give them more resources in my cloud providers. So a lot of Power BI examples. Go next slide, please. Help desk view. So tactical view, all kind of different views, managerial views, risk views, oversize of environment views, like I talked about earlier. Even one, we've done several major projects with 2 large customers where they were moving from physical to virtual or to the cloud. Didn't matter to us. So we installed Stratusphere on 20,000 machines. We built a Power BI report that now he can click, let me pick these 6 applications and see how many people would fit into that profile. So I can build out a base image. So you can do that in Stratusphere, require some in Excel spreadsheets. We've automated the living fool out of this. So anybody running Stratusphere, recommend you do a session with me or with Thomas on some of the Power BI templates that we have available, because we wrote them. It's ours. We can give it to you. You can then go do whatever you want to with it. Even if you don't know Power BI, literally you point it at your Stratusphere system and hit go, and then your data shows up. Next slide. One more executive view. Where are my users? Using that geolocation information that's built into Stratusphere now as of 6.6. So I can now tell where my users are based on their location system in Windows or Mac. So the Mac OS has the same capability. So we now can mine that and put that into an executive database based on risk and login factors and other things as well. Next slide. Process optimization. People keep forgetting about our optimization technology in Stratusphere. We have now a really powerful Power BI report that can prove, here's what it looked like before, here's what it looked like after. So this is not only for your physical machines. We've done this in Amazon, Azure, Citrix, Horizon, all of these different environments. And no matter where you turn this thing on, it has a major impact on the infrastructure. Give that guy 2 CPUs. He really needs 3. Turn on Optimizer. He is very happy with 2 CPUs because the foreground process that he's looking at is above normal. It's a very simple technology. Do no harm. We'll ask the virus protection, hey, can we lower you? The AV will say no, and we don't ask it again. But recommend you try out this, the Process Optimizer. Literally, it's a checkbox in Stratusphere to turn it on. Don't turn on the memory trimming. Most people don't need that. Just the process optimization. And if you want to, we can run this report for you and actually show you the impact of that system. Next slide. All right,
Yep.
Jason, back to command control. This is exciting stuff, people. Pay attention. Good stuff here.
Thanks, Chris. Lots and lots of updates there with Stratusphere, and there's several exclusive things. A lot of people don't realize that there's players out there that don't have an API. There's players out there that aren't compatible with Power BI. So we give you a lot of flexibility with Stratusphere. Yep. So command control GA is scheduled for next month, and it's scheduled around the time of VMware Explorer. So it is a reach out and touch someone solution, like I mentioned earlier. Real-time remediation, right? Stratusphere can take a historical view, whether that history was 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 months ago. Stratusphere is an expert in that and the deep data that it can get. Command control is meant to complement that in a real-time way, real-time metrics, real-time remediation, diagnostics, and it will have at least 4 key innovative things in it that no other competitor has at launch time. So I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on all of that, but it'll have things like the DVR history playback. So you get around to calling somebody back that called the help desk and they say, well, it's not happening now. It was happening 2 hours ago before I went to lunch. That's okay. Scroll back in time. You can see exactly what the task manager was doing at that time. You can see exactly what the top 5 CPU consumers or RAM consumers were at that time. And you can pinpoint things to resolve them in real time. With that, you can get the geolocation of where that user is. So this solution was born out of COVID. It was born out of more and more organizations that are expanding their work from home scenarios to support physical laptops and desktops that are out in the field. So you can resolve those issues very, very quickly. Works multi-tenancy as well, and it was designed with partners in mind. This is a very partner-friendly solution out there. Not only for the way that the product is architected for multi-tenancy, but the way that we protect any deals that you're bringing to us. So I know we've got customers on this phone too, but if you've got a customer you're bringing to us that needs a solution like this, we protect you in those, and you're rewarded for that. And it's a very partner-friendly solution, and not all solutions on the market have a reputation for that. So it'll be a very welcome addition if you're a partner in this industry, I believe, in the way that we are partner-friendly in there, because you're the trusted advisor to many customers, including those that are on the phone with us today, or on this webinar with us today. So stay tuned, because this solution is purpose-built for help desk admins and giving you at a glance real-time remediation across any Windows workspace. It was built for modern times. It allows you to quickly switch back and forth for the underlying desktops. So somebody calls you and you can pinpoint the desktop that they're logged onto even. So a desktop within a desktop, which is a common scenario with work from home and with the advent of virtualization these days. So stay very tuned.
Quick question.
Yep.
Is Command Control software as a service or an appliance? Just curious about where the data lives.
Yep, great question. It's built as software as a service from the ground up first. So it resides in a secure cloud. Pricing is there'll be monthly pricing on it, and then we'll roll all that out when we go GA next month, but very competitive in that area as well. Whereas some of the other solutions out there have taken the other direction. They've been on-prem first and then developed software as a service. So you get a lot of flexibility with software as a service. You'll be able to have this up and running within a matter of seconds because there's nothing to it. It's all hosted, just the agent that goes on the endpoint. If you want to get in the beta program, please put that down in the comments below, and we'll try to get you in the beta program even before GA at this point. We'll be at GA fast enough. Very excited about this one. So other updates within Liquidware, customer support continues to get great accolades. Satisfaction rating continues to be in our 98% rating for resolved tickets that have been open with us on our side. We remain to have we remain with the most support options as possible, all the way to 24/7 if you're willing to pay a little extra for that part. But we have feet on the ground here in the US, we have feet on the ground in EMEA where our key customers are as well. So we support those regions within their working hours easily without having to pay for the advanced support. And we have a very veteran staff that answers those calls, and those with over 7 years in the industry for all of them out there. So we're excited to share that with you. We're excited to share with you that our knowledge base continues to be built out, that you see here, the screen here. So it's easy to find these, even if you search Google or a solution of any kind of challenge that you might have with our solutions, you'll land in our knowledge base easily, and you can also navigate it easily within here. We want to make you aware that we're going to change some of the ways that we're doing the Liquidware community site. So we have a poll question that'll give it away on where we're headed with this in the next few days.
Do you use Slack? Yes or no?
Do you currently use Slack? So Slack is in use by the communities of Citrix, VMware, iGel, and a lot of our peers in this industry. So I know a lot of people that are in tune with Slack use it. We're interested to see with this poll question, do you use it in particular? Our forum approach was successful, but we asked ourselves, when's the last time anybody signed up for a forum in this industry? You might do it for a hobby, but something you do from home, but have you signed up for a forum? So Slack will make it very frictionless to join our community, to be able to post your results.
So 1/3 yes, 2/3 no. So we've got opportunity there.
Great. 1/3 is a good number, because I guess if we asked how many members on here would be current Liquidware community active members, it would probably be lower than that. So look for that here in the next month as we change this URL that's been struck through, still currently live, community.liquidware.com. You can go out there to a Slack-based community. And if you're already in the VMware and Citrix communities, for example, you'll easily be able to add our channel in there and be within that in our new community there. If you are on Slack, we ask that you jump in right away and help us populate. As you can guess, that's going to be a challenge for us just to get a few threads going, and then we'll be off and running. So as a favor to us, to me personally, I'm asking that you jump right into Slack when we make that known, and get out there and help us with a little bit of noise as we launch that at VMware Explorer as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the information that was on the community site was done by our SEs. So we've now got a new section on our support site called SE Field Articles. So we're moving all of that content, and some of it was old and need to be deleted anyway. So we're moving all of that over there into the SE Field articles. which I've written a lot. Johnny Ma, Jack Smith, different other SEs have written a lot of articles. We're going to move all of that to our field support section, but Slack will be where you really go to communicate with the SEs, other customers, things like that, a true forum type system.
Yep. So all that goodwill of knowledge base type articles will be in our Liquidware knowledge base and consolidate it all in one place. And it'll be in an area that you can easily find it under the SE contributed area. So as Chris said, we had a plan even for that. So we're looking forward to this switching over within the next couple of weeks. If you've been on the community site after the middle of August, it'll no longer be there, but we'll redirect the URL. All right, so if you got questions, please, we'll stay on for a bit and we'll look at them in the chat window. We can stay on right now and see if we've got any active outstanding questions.
There was a question about CommandCTRL versus Stratusphere. Actually, two questions came in. Stratusphere is an on-premise, and CommandCTRL is SaaS or cloud-based, so the licensing of those. Stratusphere is licensed per user because there's no cost of goods for us, right? Whereas CommandCTRL is going to be licensed per machine because it's taking up computing power inside of our cloud. So Jason, did I get that correct for the reason for the licenses differences?
Yep, that's right. And what Chris means by it is any SaaS product on the back end, the company that offers it, there's a cost of goods associated with it. So that's why we're licensing it per machine. And the two products will have a lot of synergies and even more moving forward. Not only do they complement the data they have and the way you can take action with one, but you see a deeper view with the other, but we will have them technically integrated with links between the two so you can see granular views in each one. The tentative plan for that is within the next year.
I think that's it because we're over by 3 minutes. Kristen, unless there's other.
I don't see any other questions on the chat. So last opportunity before we wrap up.
Hope to see those 22 people at our 22% at VMware Explore soon. And the rest of you, I hope to see you out and about. We're supporting a lot of partners out in the field, and we love to see you in person. So check our events page for locations we can meet you somewhere soon in person.
Interested in seeing more at VMware Explore. So, thank you. And let's see. Oh, we had one more that came in last minute. My understanding is that Stratusphere will be the discovery tool, monitoring the environment. CommandCTRL is the remote remediation tool, correct?
Correct.
Good.
Correct. Yep. There's thousands of metrics in Stratusphere that even CommandCTRL, but that they're sharing code between each other. So there's still a lot of stuff that CommandCTRL doesn't know. Down, hard drive encryption, things like that. So as they get more in parity and we link the two products, I need to see long-term history, flip the data upside down. How many other people are having this problem? So Jason's the help desk guy. He's in CommandCTRL. I had 10 people call in with this problem. I'm the escalation guy. I would take those 10 people, figure out what problem they had, look at Stratusphere, and figure out how many other people in my company had that issue. Right? CommandCTRL is a one-to-one relationship. Stratusphere is show me the entire company that's having this problem. Yep.
Great recap.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris Walker, Jason E. Smith. Thanks for joining today, and thanks to all of you. Take a look in your inbox within the next business days for a recording, and feel free to share it with a colleague. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.